And so it hit me one day as I was leaving the office at Two Maids, and I looked back on my 8 or whatever hours I was there in the office, and I didn't know what I had accomplished. Old school movers or one of those happy movers. So
How do you do that, Ron? Just a culture and still it starts with you and works your way out, or
So it's interesting. Heart process, mostly culture.
yeah.
We've got some systems, mostly it's the heart. But you got to believe, for instance, one of our claim to fames here is we provide a free meal the night before a move. And it's a
Okay.
surprise. We do it and it's fun. People usually get pretty excited about it. But there's a way to deliver and present that free meal offer. And if you're just checking a box off, then it's not real happy. Hey, my boss called and said, I need to call you because we give you free food versus like excitement. If you're energetic about the offer and excited to see how they react to the offer, then the other person on the other end is going to feel that. And I think that feeling is more important than the free food. So
Absolutely.
that's when I say there's process involved, that's one example, but it's really more culture based because if you're just doing it because we say do it, it's not going to come off as very happy.
If you're cool with that, and we'll talk about Pink Zebra moving.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Awesome, cool.
Yeah.
I want to share with my listeners what you're doing. Just looking at you, I want to be happy.
Well, thank you.
Hey everybody, it is Greg here with Work Happy again, and today we have a very special guest. He's the founder of Two Maids and a Mop, and most recently Pink Zebra Moving. His name is Ron Holt. This guy gets work happy, and today I wanted to bring him on to share with you what he does with his team to create a culture with his team, but also with his clients. And he's building a brand, and it's awesome. So thanks for joining me, Ron. I appreciate you jumping on.
Man, Greg, I can't wait to talk all things happy. That's my favorite word in the dictionary.
Tell the listeners, Ron, just a little bit about your background. And I know you're a serial entrepreneur. You started Two Maids in a Mop, but how did that come about? And then more recently, Pink Zebra Moving.
Yeah. So a long time ago, now more than 2 decades ago, I can't believe that when I say it out loud, but more than 20 years ago now, I started a tiny little cleaning business called Two Maids and a Mop. We literally had two maids and a mop. We were based in Florida. It was the epitome of a small business, right? We were just scratching and clawing to figure out a way to make a profit back in those early days. Took me, I should say, 2 years to earn a profit. It took me almost 3 years to earn my first paycheck. It was a grind. It's all the things you hear about when it's the entrepreneurial journey and sacrifice and grit and all those things. They all came into play. The original dream, well, I shouldn't say original, the always dream that I had there was to build that one small 250 square foot office space into a national brand. And it's very easy to say, yeah, you did it today because we did do it. We built it into almost 100 locations before I sold it 2 years ago. But there was a point in my life where it was ridiculous. I remember customers laughing at me when I said that, hey, one day we're going to be large. We're going to be one of the largest residential cleaning brands in this country. And it was silly because we were this little tiny cleaning business in Florida. But I believed in it and put all of my efforts and money into that and gave it everything I could, worked crazy hours. Like I said, sacrificed a lot in terms of income for a long time. But along the way, we started figuring things out and learned how to make some money and grow revenues rapidly. And when all that started happening in the one location in Florida, we started opening multiple locations throughout the state of Florida. Eventually, we opened 12 locations throughout the southeastern U.S., from the Carolinas down to Florida, and things are really going well. And I thought, my gosh, I've made it. And about that time, we started hitting some kind of roadblocks. We outstripped our infrastructure, and we needed to figure out what to do about that. We weren't having very much efficiency. One location versus another produced very similar top line revenues, but the bottom line performance was all over the place. And so we had to figure that out. And so I had two options. I felt like one was to actually knuckle down and figure out a way to create more efficiency, building more infrastructure inside the home office, or another mode of growth, which I didn't know anything about, franchising. And so we chose number two after learning more and more about that particular industry. And that is two different industries. Franchising and the industry you're in are completely different. And so once we learned more about franchising, we opened the doors to that type of growth and actually converted those 11 of those 12 corporate locations into franchise units and started growing like wildfire. If you've heard the hockey stick principle,
Yep.
we lived that in real time. And it was amazing and crazy and painful and all sorts of good and bad things during those times. But it worked out. I was fortunate to literally live the like American dream that everybody dreams about, including myself as a young adult. And things should have been really good. And I should have been very proud of the place in life that I'd been fortunate to build. But along the way, I started feeling things that weren't quite happy about my work-life balance. And when I was traveling a lot, lots of meetings, bureaucratic decisions, wasn't producing value with my day. Meanwhile, I was disconnected from my family. And so I, again, had one of those pivotal moments like I had earlier with the growth of Two Maids and had to figure out what to do next. Do I knuckle down again and just make the home office more efficient so that I'm not just what I feel like wasting my day? Or do I sell the business and start over with something else? And so I didn't really know how to start over. I didn't know what that meant. And along the way, believe it or not, weird things always seem to happen for me magically. My mother-in-law, we're based here in Birmingham, Alabama now. My mother-in-law hired a local moving company. And I don't know if you've ever hired a moving company before,
A
but
nightmare.
it was a nightmare for her like it is for everybody. And it was just emotion. It was like a really emotional experience for her. And so when she had that experience, I said, I wonder if other people feel that same way. And so I started researching and just literally reading Google and Yelp reviews from across the country. I remember this was a real research project. I went to Yelp and I went to Seattle, Omaha, and Miami. I felt like that was the best way
Yeah.
to measure the country. And I went straight to the one-star reviews, and they all matched my mother-in-law's experience here in Alabama. And that was my thesis on how this industry is broken, and there's something that needs to be done about it. And I said, voila, that's what I'll do. I'll sell Two Maids. I'll start this moving company. We'll change everything about the moving industry. We'll disrupt the thing and eventually even create a whole new category of movers. We call ourselves the world's first happy moving company. We're in 9 locations right now and growing. I tried to condense 25 years into a couple of minutes there.
You said you had a pivotal moment, like Two Maids and a Mop. It didn't seem like you were happy at the time, or didn't have the time to be happy. What was that pivotal moment? Was it an aha moment one day, or was it a gradual?
It definitely wasn't one moment. There was definitely one day where it finally hit me that something needed to change. So I started a business because I didn't love corporate America. I was a young 20-something, so I guess you think you got it all figured
We
out
knew
now.
everything, right?
Yeah, at that particular time, I was working in this laboratory setting, but I was the manager of the laboratory, so I didn't do a whole lot of laboratory stuff. I was in board meetings and traveled extensively, lots of phone calls, dealt with some of the finance behind the scenes, and so it was fine, but I reported to middle management, and it always felt like I was in my own version of hell because it felt very corporate, and
Yeah.
I didn't like it. And so that's when I said, I'm going to be an entrepreneur because that world gives me an opportunity to actually have purpose in my day. When I work, when I'm finished with that work, I show results from that. That's purpose. As the business grew and we got closer and closer to that 100 location mark, I started being on the phone a lot, having meetings, traveling. I was living that same exact life that I hated in my 20s. And somehow I had created corporate America and didn't know that it was happening in all those years. And so it hit me one day as I was leaving the office at Two Maids, and I looked back on my 8 or whatever hours I was there in the office, and I didn't know what I'd accomplished. I didn't know what I did. Talked a lot, had a lot of
Yeah.
meetings, but I didn't resolve one thing. I didn't fix one thing. I didn't make anything better. I just talked a bunch. And so
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm here. I'm back in corporate America. And that was my aha moment, that particular ride home that day. And it had been happening, obviously, for years, but it didn't
Yeah.
really dawn on me until that afternoon.
Have you always been generally a happy-go-lucky personality kind of thing, or was it you got to the point where it seems like burnout in the corporate world, and you built your own corporate world and were starting to get burnt out, and then decided when Zebra came along, you're like, look, I got to be more happy.
For me, everybody's different. For me, happiness is whether I'm a parent, whether I'm a brother or an employer, happiness is delivering purpose in my day and other people's days. So if my son, who's an aspiring baseball player, he's 12 years old, his goal is every 12-year-old baseball players is to be in the major leagues one day. Crazy dreams. Don't tell him this, probably not going to happen, but I'm not going to tell him it can't happen. And so he and I, we play baseball together. We play catch. We do all the things you do in the backyard, and he loves it. And we all think we're working toward this major league goal one day. That's purpose. Yeah. Same thing happens here in the office. The folks that work here, our franchisees across the country, they're fixing something about their life through this business. And so when they deal with all the chaos that comes from owning a small business, it's not just chaos on a Tuesday afternoon. It's a step towards something bigger and better down the road. To me, that's called purpose, and that's what makes me happy. It's how I define it nowadays.
How do you instill that in other people?
I think everybody needs a North Star. My North Star is in the moving industry to one day create a whole new category of movers. We, again, like I said earlier, we think we're the world's first happy moving company. We think other people down the road will follow us and follow our lead. And one day there's this customer talking to their coworker or neighbor, and the conversation is, hey, did you hire one of those old school movers or one of those happy movers? That's us. We started that revolution. That's my North Star. That's why I do what I do every day. Everybody should have a North Star. And so maybe yours isn't to take over the world. Maybe it's to be the world's best mom or dad. Maybe it's to be the world's best accountant. Maybe it's to be the world's best cleaning person. Like whatever it is, whatever your North Star is, if you really truly believe in that vision for the future, then you're going to fight for it. You're going to be passionate about everything that you do while you're fighting for it. And whether you accomplish it or not, you're going to be happy while you're going down that road, while you live that journey. I was lucky to be able to accomplish that at Two Maids, and I still strive to do that here. But along the way, even if you don't get to the end zone, if you really believe in what you're doing and you're passionate, the hard work that you put into that, you're going to do something amazing. You're going to do something good that you're going to be proud of when you look back on it.
I think that's great. And it's cool that you've gone from a manager at the laboratory where you're working to now being a leader. And there's a huge difference. A leader pulls people along and has vision and allows them to incorporate their vision. Whereas a manager, you got to hit your numbers. You got to be here from 8 to 5. You got to do this. You got to do that. But when we become leaders, it's so refreshing that we can share our passion with other people. I think you've done a great job with that. What are some of the things that you guys do different?
That's the funnest question yet. So what we're known for the most is the free meal. We offer our customers, all of them, a free dinner the night before a move occurs. It's a very simple gesture, but it usually creates an emotional response in a positive way. We don't tell people that. It's not on our website anywhere. You might see it in a review. Your neighbor might tell you about it, but we don't market it. We don't talk about it during our sales presentation or sales pitch to a customer. We surprise everybody with that, and we want it to organically flow from there. It's a fun way to get the relationship started. Some other fun things we do, this might seem very subtle, but we play music throughout the house during a move. So we play music, and we have this happy playlist on Spotify, and it's free to use. It's just a bunch of radio-friendly happy songs, and we play that all day, wherever we are. It gets people dancing in some cases. It gets people singing with us in some cases. But the most important thing it does is it just lightens the mood. It creates an ambiance that's not so awkward like most movie companies have. The other kind of cool things we do, we call it a surprise box. After the move has been completed, usually moving guys get in the truck, they drive off as it's over. We like the experience to continue. We think there's still a journey even after we finish the move. And so we leave behind a surprise box. It's got a bow on it, pink, of course, and it's located somewhere that they'll find minutes to hours or possibly even days after we leave. So in the garage, the basement, something like that. So inside of that, there are some generic goodies, just chocolates and candy and chips and a note and stuff like that. But the really fun thing that we do is we personalize a gift. So if someone's living in Seattle, but they're a big Packers fan, I know that's heresy, but just assume for a moment there's one of them, then we would use that to our advantage. We learn about our customers, we listen to our customers, and if you're in Seattle and you're a Packers fan, you're probably going to know that person's a Packers fan. And so
Yeah.
maybe it's a koozie, maybe it's a hat, maybe it's probably something very inexpensive that anybody can purchase. But the fact that we know that you're a Packers fan and we went with it and we said, go Pack, go in the letter, we think that resonates with customers and it helps build a stronger bond with our customers and it makes them happy. You're not just another ticket. You're somebody that's a real person, and we try to personalize the experience as much as possible. So that surprise box is filled with all these things, but the home run part is that personalized $10 gift.
I had one client, I found out they were big into golfing. And so I went on Titleist to get personalized golf balls. So I bought him a dozen golf balls and just had a little hashtag with his name on it. And he said that's the most memorable gift he's ever gotten. But
every time he sees that ball, he's going to think of you.
Or every time he loses, he's going to curse me.
Possibly.
But that's the thing, right? What's the golden rule? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. I think the platinum rule is do unto others as they would want done. And that's what you're doing. You're not just giving them a bunch of candy or whatever. It's personalized. It makes your customer happy and everybody reads it too.
Yeah, one thing that I think is missing in this industry and probably all home service based industries, most customers, when they work with their home service business like Pink Zebra Moving, don't envision there being a relationship. They envision a transaction. I will pay you to do this. And since it's a trade, that seems like a fair trade. But we think that's what's wrong with the industry. We think that's what makes it broken. Customers may not know they need a relationship with their moving company, but we know they do. The closer we bring someone to us, the happier they are. The easier it is for them to communicate with us, the easier it is for them to resolve conflict. We're not perfect. Real people make mistakes. So when you're working with a stranger and that stranger makes a mistake, but when a friend or family member makes a mistake, you can resolve it usually. You don't end the relationship. But if it's a stranger, you probably do. So that's what we're trying to do. We use happy, fun emotions to do that, to bring us closer. But ultimately, we think all home service businesses just need to have a better relationship with their customers.
What you're doing is very personal, right? You're in somebody's house, maybe even before they are, right? Because they gave you the key code and they're still in transit. Right. So doing that and building a relationship, it's genius, let alone happiness or making money. It's genius marketing. And I would imagine too, because when I talk and help people build a WorkHappy culture, when they do that, obviously the happiness is there, but it starts with the hiring. And then if you have happy employees, they're 18% more productive. They want to go to work and they're going to tell their friends, hey, here's what we did yesterday. So your marketing to get new people or to retain people is lowered as well too, because people want to go to work and make other people happy.
Right. Yeah. Even if going to work means you're going to work so that one day you can start your own business to compete against the place you're working, that may seem crazy. I totally encourage that. Go compete against us. And if you need to learn from us and get more experience, we've got someone here internally right now that's a young marketing genius. She's fantastic. She's going to one day start a marketing agency. I know it.
Yeah.
I'm okay with her using the experience here to get better at that one day. We have our own internal marketing agency here, so we potentially may be competitors down the road. But that's fine. I want her to pursue her dreams, because while she's pursuing that dream, she's going to deliver strong value within this workplace, within this organization. So absolutely. I know it's a weird thing to say, grow to compete against us, but you want people to be happy. You want people to be passionate about their work. And if they have to hide that dream while they're working with you, then they can't be happy.
I love that. That's why you've been successful, because you work happy, you have that culture, and you want to have other people go there. Hey, before we wrap, what's one key thing, if there's a business owner out there or an entrepreneur listening, what is one thing that you can tell them to have them help them have that happiness factor within their work? Like what would you tell somebody who's like, I want what you have? Where would they start?
I mean, I hate to repeat myself, but it's what I believe. It's what's worked for me my whole life. Believe in what you're doing. Figure out what your North Star is. Really, truly believe you can get there. And then the work will go. If you've ever thought about, I don't know, think of the worst job you've had to do around the house. Maybe you had to do some carpentry. I don't know. Yeah. You probably did it just to get it over with. It wasn't enjoyable. It wasn't fun. You were trying to get it over with as fast as possible. But imagine the funnest thing you've ever done. It felt like time flew by.
Yeah.
that's what everyone's life can be if they have a North Star and they truly believe they can get there, because all they're going to be doing is racing toward that at all times. Everything they do, every decision they make will be based on that, and passion will be just oozing out of them because of that. That's what's oozing out of me. Hopefully you see that today, because I truly believe in what I'm doing and what we're building here. And
well, thanks again, Ron. I really appreciate you jumping on and sharing your brand of happiness with people. And if you're listening and want to have the same thing in your company or in your life, please reach out to Ron. He's a wealth of information. And whether you're listening or watching, you can tell that Ron works happy.
That's correct, Greg. Thank you for having me.
Hey, everybody. It is Greg Kettner with the WorkHappy Podcast. Thank you for tuning in. If you have not subscribed yet, please do that. It allows more people to learn from experts on how to work happy. And I have a mission here. It's big, it's huge, crazy, but I want to help 1 million people work happy. And by sharing, liking the podcast, that's one way that you can help. We appreciate you tuning in from wherever you are. If you ever have any questions, feel free to reach out to me anywhere on social media. Go check out Ron Holt, zebramoving.com. All right, it's the end of the show. Thank you again, Ron. I really appreciate it. Listeners, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it and helping us get the message out. If you enjoyed this conversation, please share it on your favorite social network and subscribe. We try and bring you some really cool insights onto how people work happy. Why do we work happy? How do we talk about mental health? All those sorts of good things, because it is my goal, it is my passion to help people talk about mental health, how to reach out, and how to work happy. Because when we work happy, we're more productive. There's less stress, there's more creativity, and there's a much better home life when we are happy people. If you have any questions, you can always reach me at gregkettner.com. I appreciate you. Have a great week. Go work happy. Cheers.